Tonight we want to first to discuss ethics and privacy for the information systems. And then, as I said, a technology guide, very quick technology guide about the software and the current trends in software and software engineering. Okay. Ethics. Have you ever been a victim of, for example, hackers for your information systems, for your computer? You have many accounts. How many accounts you have? Many accounts you have. For example, do you have a, a, a Sony PlayStation account? Who has a Sony PlayStation account? No answers? Or maybe I can't see the answers. No answer. So it's hacked, like for sometimes like that, it's at least based on my knowledge in 2011, I think it's hacked. And like the information data and information of, how to say, many customers, hundreds of thousands of customers. Like, I mean, hackers gain unwanted access to it, and then they can use it for their criminal purposes or unwanted purposes. What type of information is like that information? So, like, some of the information are more sensitive than another data and information that are collected about you. What information is the most important information for you, which is collected by others? There are some answers I couldn't see. Express Live is linked to your Hotmail and Outlook. That's very important. I just heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that too. My brother does like social security. Do you share with them your social security number? Address is perfect. SIN number? Do you like SIN number? Yeah, SIN number is also another sensitive information. It can be useful. Yeah, for Sony, no, I don't think that like you wanted to share. So like among your credit card, among the address, we have like two good answers, one address and credit card data. Which one is more sensitive for you? Credit card? Like credit card information address. Why address? Why address? Both are important, but like I'm asking about the more important one. Yeah, most of the students are saying that the address because you can easily block your credit card, but like you can't change your address easily. So there your name, phone number, address are all of the very critical, like I mean, of the sensitive information. Credit card information is also very sensitive, but like that, it's not the most sensitive one. So then, you can report the fraud, as you said, for the credit card, and then address is, yes, I believe so. I believe that the address, phone, even your name, your email address, all are very important and sensitive information that can be, how to say, I mean, used by hackers, crackers for the criminal or for any other unwanted purposes. So like this session is about like the ethics and privacy, and we wanted to see what's the privacy definition and what's the difference between ethics and rules, and then how we can keep our information systems more private, like how we can, how to say, prevent violation of the privacy of our information system and data, specifically in the business level. Personal level is also very important. Business level is important as well. So ethics and then privacy. So how privacy issues could affect your data, and then how the organization's profile, organization profile could have prevented the privacy breaches discussed. So first of all, ethics. Ethics is very important. Ethics, ethics has different definitions, and then it's relative. I know it's based on, considering the cultures and geographical region and also religions. Like it's different. It's relative. But if we have a definition here about the ethics that could be, considered as a general definition, the principles of right and wrongs that individuals use to make choice that guide their behavior. And then in the corporate environment, in the society, and in information technology, also ethics is very important. Information system raises new ethical question because we need it provides the users with different and with new capabilities. And then we need even new, and then even it arises new ethical questions and issues as well. So for example, network concerns, and then gaining access to the people's data through the internet and information systems, through the mobile networks. And so on could even be more, how to say, concerning, and then we need to think about it even more than before. So some of the golden and candidate and very, how to say, well-defined and well-known by people, ethical principles are mentioned here. The first one is utilitarian principle. Utilitarian principle is saying that do the best thing that you can do. For example, when you are working in a company as a code developer, system developer, and you are writing codes, does it make sense? How many lines you can write in a day? 700 lines, for example, just a hypothetical example. 700 lines you can write in a day. Well, if you even write 500 lines, 200 lines less, nobody can figure it out. Nobody will complain about it, including your manager, because they don't know that you can write more than 500. Utilitarian principles say that it's unethical. If you can do 500, then do 500. Do take the action that achieves the higher or greater value. Does it make sense? So the most effective actions, the lowest cost actions, the highest profit actions. So do the best thing. And then risk aversion principle, and do the things with the lowest risk, or to harm people with the least harm to potential cost, life of the people, also health of the people. Take the action that produces the least harm or potential cost. So take the action that does have, for example, can you give an example of the actions with the risk? For example, risk of when you wanted to change a system, that's a risky. When you want to, you have a database and information system, you wanted to migrate to a new information system. Take the action with the lowest risk and cost. So for example, I have a legacy system. I wanted to transform into the legacy database. I wanted to transform to data warehousing, a multi-dimensional new technology for database management and for data storage. So I wanted to convert into a data warehouse environment, and it's a very risky project. So for example, one of the solutions to to manage the risk of these process of transformation from legacy system to uh, data warehouse. So parallel systems. You can say that I wanted to keep two parallel systems and work with two systems for a while. After a while, when the bugs of the new system is how to say, declared and resolved, and then when I got adopted with the new system, then we can get rid of the legacy system and continue with the new system. If you sharply like stop using legacy system and start using the new system, in the case of errors and bugs of the new system, it's very risky for your business. Or for example, keep the data in different places to minimize the risk of data loss. You call it like backup, different backups to keep it safe. No free launch rules. So like for the software, in information technology, it's even more important in the information technology era. Because like, for example, a copyright violation is easier than before. Does it make sense? So assume that virtually all tangible and intangible objects are owned by someone unless there is a specific declaration otherwise. Does it make sense? Don't use, like, for example, you can easily Google and find a lot of pictures, a lot of graphics, like graphs and so on. And then you can use them. You can, how to say, add them to your reports and so on. Or like no free lunch, just cite them. Or like take the permission to use their resources belonging to others. For the intellectual properties, it's even more important, and violation of the intellectual property rights is easier in network, in internet. Easily, like the textbooks can be copied. Easily, like the videos, movies can be copied. No free lunch is another a candidate ethical principle. And golden rule is at the end. Golden rule. Golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If like do the things that you like others do, I mean for you. So like, can you give an example for golden rule? Golden rule even, like I mean, includes all other principles that we have here. The examples that I gave for the other principles can be applied for the golden rule as well. So good code of ethics. So like ethics is very good, but like it needs to be organized, and then so like I mean to be implemented in real life. And then we have some of the, for example, associations, organizations, they have their own code of ethics. And the members of those for specifically for professional associations. For example, for professional associations for Ontario engineers, professional engineering. They have their own code of ethics. For example, for purchasing material for an engineering project, for selling, like for creating a quotation for a customer for an engineering project. Does it make sense? They have, like I mean, some of the code of ethics developed by the uh, by professional associations, and then the members of the associations have to follow the code of ethics of the associations. For engineers, for example, doctors, nurses. So like for system developers, they have any like associations that you make. Associations have their own have their own like code of ethics, and then the members have to follow it. And they have a mechanism for to monitor and control for of the code of ethics to make sure that the members of the association are following the code of ethics. Does it make sense? So fundamentals of, do you want to see maybe if I can Google and show one example? So let's see, for example, in the website of the PEO, Professional Engineering Ontario, you can see for the license holders, the members of the association, Code of Ethics. Through the Code of Ethics, professional engineers have a clearly defined duty to society, which is to regard the duty to public welfare as paramount above their duties to clients or employers. So the society is even. Their duty to employers involves acting as faithful agents or trustees regarding client information as confidential and avoiding or disclosing conflict of interest. Does it make sense? And then mention the rest of it. I don't want to read over all of it. And then some of the code of ethics principles are mentioned also here about the customers information, and then the employees information and so on are determined and defined by the professional associations, and the members have to follow it, otherwise they will be punished. So does it make sense? I have a response to my previous question. Treat others with respect. Yes, you like people. That's an example we have in in this talks about, yeah, about golden rule, about the golden rule. So treat others with respect because you like others. Treat you with respect. So responsibility, accountability, and liability are fundamental tenets of ethics. So responsibility, accepting the consequences of your decisions. That's responsibility. Accountability, the ability to determine the percentage of the responsibility of each participant. Like, for example, if there is an issue related, it was a case, one of the famous case studies is uh, one of the car manufacturers. One of the car manufacturers developed in 2008, I think, developed a software, a wrong software, to measure the emission of the cars wrongly and report it and report the fake numbers for the emissions of the cars. Does it make sense? So like the emission was more than the standard, the emission produced by the car was more than the standard, but like they had a software program in the car showing that like the emission produced by this car is in this, like it's not beyond the standard. Does it make sense? So then that's unethical and then illegal behavior. and who is responsible for it. And then accountability. How much is the responsibility of CEO in this situation? Very top manager. What is the responsibility of the program developer? What is the responsibility of the engineer, designer engineer? Accountability. So what is the responsibility of, for example, of the third party monitoring and quality say assurance, quality inspection, third party companies or organizations, government organizations. So like the accountability needs to be determined as well. And then liability permits individuals to recover damage done to them. And then if something happened for the people, like for example, if like your bank account doesn't work for 2 days, for a businessman, for example, a business company, for a business, I would say, as I say, businessman with a lot of transactions, it would lead to a lot of loss. So then how they can recover it? It's like the bank database is done. It doesn't work for 2 days. And then a lot of like hundreds of thousands of dollars, or like for the whole customers, millions of dollars. So who's responsible? What is the responsibility of the bank? What's the responsibility of internet service provider? And then who wanted to recover the loss of a customer? Does it make sense? Liability is that. So, I mean, responsibility, accountability, and liability are fundamental tenets of ethics. And then what is unethical? The last point that we have here, the next point that we have here. What is unethical is not necessarily illegal. So if it can be defined as a rule, as law, then you don't need ethics. So it's a law, and then people have to follow it. So then sometimes we have something which is not like, I mean, illegal, but it's unethical. So, and then if the responsibility and accountability and liability could be defined clearly, then after a while it will be a law. Does it make sense? Any questions? So let's turn on to 4 general categories of ethical issues related to IT, information technology. Privacy, accuracy, property rights, and accessibility. Some accuracy and accessibility are simple, but like for privacy and property rights, we need to a little bit discuss them. So first of all, like privacy. So what's the definition of the privacy and how did the privacy could be violated in specifically in IT environment and so on. You can see the topics in the slides, topics from the text. Personal information in database, privacy of personal information, privacy like information on internet bulletins and boards like newspapers and so on. In social media, privacy codes and policies, and then international aspects of privacy. So first of all, privacy. People like to be left alone. And privacy is the right of people to be left alone and to be free of unreasonable personal intrusions. So information privacy is the right to determine when and to what extent information about you can be gathered and or communicated to others. So what type, like how many information about you is collected by the school? So, and then how they can use it. How many information is collected by Netflix and how they can use it. Does it make sense? So court decision in many countries have followed 2 general rules. The right of privacy is not absolute. Because if it's absolute, if everything would be covered under the privacy, what would be happening? So absolute 100% privacy. Mhm. Conducting research. Yeah, it's important for sure. Like the keeping the like collecting data about the people, like through questionnaire, tests. Yes, privacy is very important, as you said, in research context. You need the consent of the people when you wanted to collect data about them. You need to show them how do you want to use this data. Is it going to be reported individually or as like a descriptive statistic of a population? Does it make sense? These are very important issues, like I mean, topics in research. My question is about like the right of privacy is not absolute, and privacy must be balanced against the need of society. What does it mean? If it's the why it can't be absolute, the privacy protection. What happens if it's like extreme case? Think about the extreme cases. What happens if it's like, I mean, 100% private and then nobody can access to your data even? Because if it's absolute, then it would be a, I would say, private and safe zone for, yeah, I have. Because it's in privacy protection, then rights like the Right to Information Act would not be valid. And if someone, perfect, I was looking for that, that bad happened, it's like someone bad happens, no one would know about the bad behavior for criminals specifically. If there was another good point is if there was a threat to life, then yeah, perfect. Even sometimes you wanted to help people. It would be really easy for people to claim privacy and get away. Like perfect. If there was threat, you then know demographic, citizen needs, population, crime, this would be very important as well. And it will lead, I mean, it will provide the criminals with a safety zone. And then it can't be absolute, but like it needs to be defined and protected itself. So digital dossiers are created using profiling. Profiling means like the data from different sources collected and integrated and consolidated. For example, your credit card data combined with your Google Maps data, the Google data that Google Maps collected about you. And then credit card and Google Maps, and then another sources, for example, your uh, uh, another source data. If like people or can I mean consolidate, integrate and consolidate data collected from different sources that they can even find more and more things about you and violates your privacy. Data aggregators are LexisNexis for legal purposes, Axiom for marketing, Statistics Canada for statistics. So, and then, but like profiling is maybe the most concerning one. Let's watch this short video and then we will back. How can I share the, I'm not sure if the, let me know if you can hear it properly. Let me bring it on. It's just the music. It's not like that. Well, like it's music. It's beautiful. I wanted you to see.
Oh my God. Oh man. I had a Ik vind je eng.
So just using, I would say like profiling and then combining data collected from different sources. They can conclude a lot about you. And even these days using data mining, big data analytics, and also these days you are sharing your data and information through the social media and so on without any, how to say, like limitations. You share like your pictures, the places that you visit, a lot of data and information you are sharing with your hand, and then like using the profiling and data mining, big data analytics technologies. It can AI, robots. It can be like, I mean, bots. It can be used for against you, as we have seen on the screen. It can be used against yours. Does it make sense? So another sources for privacy potentially violation, it's for your safety for sure, is electronic surveillance. And these days, like in the shopping stores and like in stations, in airports, like I mean TTC station, in GO train station, in airport, in like in government agencies, in a lot of places, we are under the surveillance of the closer in banks, in subway. You can see a lot of examples. People are under the surveillance, and then using big data analytics and the other, like I mean, data mining technologies and AI, they can conclude about it. Not only they can understand and conclude about your current status, but also they can even predict the future. It could be useful for in some, I would say, cases, but like it can be used also against the people. We know they see that your data is encrypted. Does it mean it's not tracked? Encrypted. No, they even did. Like, it's they even like the people that we have seen in the video, for example. They even have not cracked or tracked anything. Even it's not any illegal. Just using the information that you, I mean, share through your pages, social media, and so on. You like yourself share the data, and then that data from different sources could be, so for sure like it's encrypted, and then decryption without like the consent and then illegally is an illegal, unethical, and can be even followed. So but not, but using even the information which is shared legally, uh, uh, a lot of conclusions can be conducted and then can be used against you. And then inexpensive digital sensors are found in laptop webcams, video game sensors, smartphone cameras. Smartphone cameras are always collecting data. In utility meters like passport and identification cards. In the like, I mean, in smart appliances in at homes and so on. A smartphone create geotags, and then all of the transportations and travels and so on data would be collected. Google and Microsoft Street View image, drones, all like I mean are are under the CCTV, and then surveillance, electronic surveillance are a lot of technologies. Data is collected, can be used, even the data can be used for um, analytics, and then conclusions, a lot of conclusions about your now and future, and even your past, now and future. So is there any like, I mean, a lot of but please note that there like electronic surveillance has a lot of benefits for people and society, and so we are talking about like the concerns. Personal information in databases, a lot of databases. credit card reporting agencies, banks and financial institutions, utility companies, your employer, your school, hospitals, government agencies, like for example, CRA. Perfect. Yeah. The data is also, as you said, useful for GIS analysis, for sure, for sure. Can you give an example of the use of this data that we said for the surveillance and the personal information databases for business? Just an example of the use of one of the business process that you can improve. Which business process you can improve using this data? A lot of data people collected about their travels, I mean, buying behavior. Which business process can be improved? Marketing, perfect. Marketing for business. Mohit, yes, please. Mohit, you wanted to add something? Okay. So then it can be used for marketing purposes, for like uh, how to say legal and beneficial, like I mean, useful purposes. Major concerns about information you provide record keepers. Do you know where the records are? Like, for example, the data that you have, yeah, for purchase rent. Yeah, good example. So the data that the school is collecting about you, where it's collected and stored, like the hospital's data and healthcare centers, with very sensitive data information, bank information, credit card information. Do you know where the records are? Are the records accurate? If it's not accurate, can you like revise it? For example, an address change. For an address change, there are a lot of databases that you need to update. How long it takes to update the databases? How I mean, what's the cost of it? So, are the record accurate? If it's not, can you change it and improve it and revise it? How long it takes? How cost it does have? Under what circumstances will personal data be released? So, for example, your employer, under what circumstances they are allowed to release your data, to show your data to the people, like the credit card company, like the retailers, are they allowed, like Google, that I mean collects a lot of data and information about the people. Under what circumstances they can release this data? They can show it to what companies, what government agencies, for what purposes. For example, we know that they use it for marketing purposes legally. It's not illegal. And then under what circumstances, and then do they have your consent and so on. Okay, cues back. So major concerns, how the continue, like how are the data used, to whom, and are the data given or sold for usually for marketing purposes? How secure are the data against access by unauthorized people? How secure is your bank data? How secure is your school's data? How secure is your health related data? Okay, for purchase. Okay, perfect. So then how you feel if, oh, fingerprint. Do you use your fingerprint for as your for the identification systems and authentication? Do you used to use like the biometrics identification systems? Like for example, facial recognition systems of the smartphones, fingerprint for logging. Do you use it? Do you have any concern? What concerns you if you use like your fingerprint? Or do you feel very 100% safe? when you use your fingerprint, for example, for authentication, for your bank account, for your credit card. 23andMe has all your has all of your genetic, yes, data. Yeah, that's a concern for sure. No, because everyone has a unique fingerprint. It doesn't concern me. Do you feel that like the fingerprint and biometrics authentication system are the most secure ones? Yeah, you can't for sure. Yeah. No, they can be fake. Can they? Everything can be fake. Yeah, but like comparing with the other methods, it's very difficult to say, but like it seems like safe. And then like combination. Two-factor authentication is always better way. Two-factor authentication. Like for example, one receiving a code to your from the website to your smartphone or an email. So perfect. And then information on internet, bulletin boards, newspapers, and so on are also another legal to no recourse for victims. Okay. Privacy codes and policies is like another way to prevent violation of the privacy or data and information privacy. So like it's privacy codes and policies. Or for example, now on my screen, I have privacy codes and policy. Let under the recording, there is a sentence is saying that just on my screen, I'm reading over it. Let everyone know they are being recorded and transcribed. And then it says like privacy policy. Privacy policy is also here. If I click methods of informed consent, two methods, opt out and opt in. Opt out allows collection of personal information unless the consumer requests otherwise. And opt in, the consumer must take an action to approve collection and use of personal information. Does it make sense? These are two different methods of informed consent, and then some businesses follow opt out, some of them opt in, and then, for example, let me give an example here too. Whenever I wanted to, I have an account in like one of the publishers. That's a public, like a scientific publication, books, and then most probably you have. So and then anything, editing? No, it was advertisement. This is this. Hopefully, most yeah, like that. See, very on the can see like the banner on the underneath the page, like very bottom of the page. So we use cookies to improve your website experience. To learn about our use of cookies and how you can manage your cookie setting, please see our cookie policy. By closing this message, you are consenting to our use of cookies. What type is it? What type is it? Like among two types that I mentioned, what was the types that I said? Opt in and opt out. Yeah. Which one is this for Taylor and Francis? What do you think? Let me bring the page. Maybe you are answering what I can say. Mhm. Abu Bakr is saying that it's opt out. Just one answer, opt in. The consumer must take action to two answers, one opt out, one opt in. Which one is this? The consumer must take action to approve collection and use of personal information. Which type is it? Is it opt in or opt out? Why it's
Opt
opt
in
out?
probably.
Sorry,
Opt in probably.
opt in. One more opt in. We use cookies and then please see our cookies policies. By closing this message, you are consenting to our use of cookies. You're thinking that like this action, accept is the action which is taken. Mhm. The consumer must take an action to approve collection and use of personal information. Yeah, cookie collects like the personal information. Opt in or opt out. Think about it. Yeah, we will discuss it later. And then let me know your thought. Platform for privacy preferences, another method. This is like is more technical. That's a protocol that automatically communicate privacy policies between a website and its visitors. Like it sends a website when you wanted to watch, I mean, visit a website, automatically they send you a form and then you fill this form, like by just, I mean, to tick some options and so on. And then like like they collect your consent or like communicate with you regarding their privacy policy automatically using an automatic communication, for example, as I said, through electronic forms that they send to you. PT3 or uh, platform for privacy preferences. So, like we have also privacy codes and policies for the regions and countries. For example, European directives on data privacy or uh, fair information practice for the US, for information practice, European directives on data privacy. For the Canada, like Canadian Standards Association CSA model code. Canada's Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act. These are, I mean, set of privacy codes and policies for privacy protection of people under these acts. European directives are stronger than Canadian and US firm, like US, what I said, like uh, Fair Information Practice and Canadian Standard Association. They are like stronger and more difficult to follow. That's why sometimes some issues happen between US and European Europe and US. For example, like some of the businesses, well, like US based businesses are working in the EU in EU in Europe, and then like the courts may find them, or like I mean, they may have some cases in the courts because of the violation of the European directives. They are working in accordance with the Fair Practice Information or Canadian Standard Association Model Code, but like European directives are stronger and more difficult. then they are violating some of the European ones. Like, for example, the Twitter had a problem with the with EU countries. Like Google had multiple problems with EU countries because they are violating their rules. While they are not violating anything in the US and Canada, but like their rules is more difficult, European ones. So if you wanted to see European directives easily, you can Google. Let me show you an example to make it more, say, closer to real world, from theory to real. There it was. It is, uh, uh, yeah. Oh, yeah, very good. So European directive. I hope that I can find one and show you quickly. I'm looking for a list of 7 principles. Data protection. No, it's, yeah. Lawfulness, fairness and transparency, purpose limitation, data. Second. Something. Yeah, here on like at the bottom of the page, you can see a P3P. And a simple example of P3P. It gives you different options, and then it's an example of P3P. I was looking for data. So you can Google and find like the most important principles, or maybe it's mentioned. Yes, it is in your textbook. In a textbook, you can find it. I wish I could find like easier some of them to show you. Like, for example, they determine how, like, let's give some examples from my, maybe back of my memory. So, for example, they determine that what information like the companies are allowed to collect about the people. How, like, for example, they cannot collect information, organizations. They cannot, or websites, businesses, cannot collect any information about the people without their consent and information. And then they need to, like, notify people where the data is collected. They are not allowed to use the data and information collected about the people without their consent. They are not allowed to sell it to other people without their consent. Does it make sense? These are the some of the directive. I mean, European directive, how to say, principles, Canadian Standard Association principles. These are some of them. International aspect, international business is difficult, more difficult. Yeah, I gave examples like the of the issues between US-based companies, Canadian-based companies working in Europe, for example, because their like their rules are different. So, and then their laws are different. And then it makes even more difficult. Approximately 50 countries have data protection laws. So even some of the countries, most like then most of the countries even don't have any data protection law. So Inconsistent standards from country to country. Standards are very different. And then that makes like the international business, global business, even more difficult. So like the medical data, patients' medical data, without their consent in Europe, in US, in Canada, like they are not allowed, like the doctors and hospitals are not allowed to collect data. They are not allowed to, they are not allowed to save the data. They are not allowed to share this data with others without the consent of the data owner. How much of your medical data do your medical caregivers have access to? Examples of your recent private medical data and where it is stored. Like these are the concerns with the medical data, which is mentioned in one of the textbooks case studies. Does it make sense? Any questions? So let's take a quick look at what we have here for technology guide. If you don't have any questions, take software issues and system softwares and then application softwares. So we have hardware in the middle of this graphic and then system software and then application software. What is like hardware is your computer or your smartphone. What is system software? For example, if we are talking about your laptop, what's the system software? What system software do you use? Mac OS, perfect. Or for example, what's the role of system software then? Yeah, or Microsoft Windows, for example. Microsoft has a lot of things like Microsoft Windows is an example of system software. OS, for example, or like what is the system software of your smartphone? Android, for example, perfect. What's the role of the system software? Hey, it's manager of your system very quickly. And yeah, to turn yes, perfect, perfect. Like to turn the devices applications. It's manager of your system. You where you wanted to use the application, when you wanted to use another uh, uh, hardware components. So then for like, it's a manager of your system. The role is like it's a manager of your system and manages like the hardware components and also other software programs. And then we have application software. Then you said, for example, Windows, Microsoft Windows as a system software. It's your notebook. Why? And I'm right. No, it's impossible. So if it's like the Microsoft Windows is your and is the uh, is system software of your uh, laptop, then for example, Microsoft Office is application software. What application software do you have on your system? Yeah, like for the operating system or software system, you're saying, and another good answer we have to make sure that the machine runs smoothly. Like any application software, like one of them I said, like Microsoft Office is an example of application software. You want to give another example of application software? Do you have any other application software on your laptop? Zoom, perfect. Zoom, Teams. And then, for example, SPSS for statistics, Minitab for statistics, for example. A lot of application software programs we have on our computers. Software set of computer programs, you know it. Computer program, the sequence of instructions for the computer, which comprise software, and then documentation, written description of the functions of a software. That's important component in developing the systems, and then written instruct descriptions can help like the users, and then for the maintenance people can use that written descriptions for programs. I'll say like I mean for enhancement, for maintenance, for repairing the software programs. That would be very useful. And application and system is defined as well. So software defects, sometimes we have like defectives. We don't have any zero defect software. Any software has like some defectives and bugs because quality control for zero defective software is very expensive and time consuming. And it makes it like, uh, I would say like infeasible. Economically, it's infeasible to have like a zero defective software. That's why like sometimes you can see that like the Microsoft or the other any businesses like uh, launch a patch program or patch file. So like the defects are flaw, and then to improve the flaws, they like I mean release patch files to repair their software programs when some of the issues is I'll say like I mean uh, is declared by the users. So software licensing, some of the softwares you have to pay, some of them are open systems and free systems even. Open source and free softwares and software licensing, Microsoft Office, like Microsoft Windows, for all of them you have to pay. Some of the software programs are free and open system and open source. It means that community of people, of users develop the system, and then it's for free available, and even you can customize it for your personal users. So can you give an example of an open source and free software program or system software or like application software? Office is open. No, Office is licensed. Office is licensed software. You have to pay, and you cannot. It's not open. You cannot say revise it and customize it. Linux, perfect. Linux is an example, perfect, of open source applications, and then you can customize it for your, it's a system software. So the open source one can be even uh, revised and customized. So open source, high quality, reliability, low cost, flexibility. Well, like cost of maintenance is high. It's free, but like for maintenance you have to pay, and cost because like the I would say revenue model for the developers of the open sources is for maintenance, pay for cost of maintenance. So it's easy of use, and then training cost, and then it's not easy to use them. Like for example, R programming software, Python programming software, both of them are open source and free. But like it's not as easy as, for example, Minitab and another SPSS for the statistical analysis. Training cost is high and it's time consuming to learn how to use Python, R, and so on. Does it make sense? So then more examples for open source applications like R, Python for programming. For example, for simulation, SimQuick. SimQuick is an open source and free program. It's like annex for the Excel, and it's for free. Functions performed by system software control and support, programs and hardware components of your system. And then I mentioned those. That's why I am going over. So types of user interface for like communication with the software programs, you need a user interface. It could be a graphical user interface or GUI, allows user to experience direct control of the hardware through manipulating of visible objects such as icons, like Windows. Natural user interface like haptic and touch enabled gesture control interfaces and so on. And social interface guides the user through computer application by using cartoon like characters, graphics, animations, and so on that you may have seen in some of the games and so on. So like let me see. Yes, we have just one more. Let's watch this video as the last component of our tonight's lecture, and then we can conclude user interface. Major types of personal applications, you know that. Web applications, graphics, application presentations, and data management, desktop publishing, a lot of applications you know and you can add to this list. One of the methods for, let's leave it for the next. Okay.